Hey, thanks for coming back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, we do fun stuff. This customer's not mine, but it's rapidly nearing the point of being ready to paint, running, driving, and down the road where it needs to be. It's been off the road for decades. Long story short, this episode, we're just going to hit a bunch of little small projects. We're going to try to get more stuff primed, and that's it. So stick around if you want to. Kind of at the what I call the last chance pass of this truck. Most of this is good to paint. I'm just marking little tiny areas that either need sanded more, like this guy, or the seam sealer needs fixed. Just little bitty things, you know, that'll really cause a problem later. The glove box, it's ready to prime. I've never seen such a roughed up glove box. I mean, how does a glove box get smashed up? I don't get it. Anyways, I've got the other filler panel right here. This one didn't need as much work, but it's also ready to prime. I've got this little guy that goes on the end of my steering column. It's almost ready. Just have to sand this last little smidge of filler I put on the outside edge. That'll be ready to prime and paint. Over here on the bed, the outside rails, all four of these guys, the outsides of them are all wonky. You can see kind of a high spot, another high spot. Same for that guy. The flat panels are fantastic, so that's not gonna take much work, but these guys were pretty wonkered out just from the crimping process. Little bitty boo-boos, like I said, stuff. And that one there, I'm not done with this. I'm just building it up with a tiny bit of filler and then sanding it back. Show you that whenever I get done with it. But this thing is almost ready to roll into the paint booth. So I am very much looking forward to that. We get the thing in the booth, get the firewall painted. Haven't decided if I'm doing the whole cab or not at once, but for sure doing the firewall, the interior, so I can drop that motor in there that's hiding behind that table. Plop the motor in there and put the transmission back on it, steering, all that wiring. You'll be ready to run, test run anyways. So I got these guys back from the blaster. Don't want to touch them. I have oily hands. Blown them all off. Need to prime them. These are my pieces here. I'm not touching any bare metal, so I'm gonna give them a final wipe down before I prime them. But these are the filler panels, the glove box, and a pulley from something else. So I got my Nason primer mixed up here. It's the 421-17, which is that color. Got my DeVilbiss D-cup stuff set up here, ready to go. Pour this crap in there. It's a brand new gallon, so it doesn't have too many floaties in it. This is a high build primer, so it feels pretty good. Should have enough. Kind of annoys me when I have to mix a little bit more when I get that close, like 3 or 4 ounces from being where it needs to be, but it's the nature of the work. So the lid goes on. Fun fact, more than once I have forgot to put this little lid on, and I've just screwed this cap on, and when you turn the paint gun over, obviously this little guy here isn't on, so it just pours it all right down your gun. Just right through the nozzle, just bypasses the inner part and just pours it all over your hand. So always make sure that that little fella's in there. Well, the old girl's nearly ready for paint. I've just hit just a couple of real small areas. Needed a little bit more work. Like that body line above both of the corner windows was crap. It looked like somebody beat it with a hammer. See, now it's a nice crisp, sharp line. A little bit of metal work, tiny bit of filler. Nice and clean. So the cab is nearly ready for paint. Doing all the interior first within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Today's little project is going to be the fuel filler neck and door assembly. As you already know, or maybe not if you haven't watched the video before, we're not doing the little tank that's right there no more. Not doing the gas bomb in the cab. Might have worked for a long time ago, but we're not doing it now. And the guy that owns this truck's kind of a big fella, so he needs kind of all the room he can get. So since we're not doing that, we're doing what most people do, which is the in the bed tank, you know, where fuel tanks are supposed to be. But this fella doesn't like the idea of the nozzle being in the bed, nor do I. But in the old videos I showed we put a new neck on that. We're going out. And so today's project will be getting a fuel door thing fit in. So what we got there, owner picked this guy out. This is just a boat unit. Got the same size filler neck. See, it's just got a little flip up cap. And it just unscrews like bloop, and comes out. So this is kind of where he wants it, where that piece of tape is. So it'll be right there, kind of towards the back top of the fender there. He didn't really want it out there. I would have just put it out here on the side, but it's kind of where he wanted it. So we're gonna give the customer what they want. So I'm gonna cut a hole in that and then do whatever metal work I gotta do to get that to flush fit. Like I said, that's the same diameter as that guy. So we'll just have to do a little 90 or whatever at the fuel hose to connect it. That's what we're gonna do. Or attempt to do. This little rubber gasket that goes between that and your metal. So as you can see, it's just a little bit larger than the diameter of the neck here. So I'm gonna try to find one of my hole saws that will fit inside of this hole and have just a little bit of wiggle room. I don't want the hole to be the same size as this. You're kind of getting into the area near that bolt hole and I don't want to rip the end of the plug out. Anyways, let's go find a hole saw. Well, that hole's pretty clean. Now I just got to get this thing in there and kind of find center on it so the holes look reasonably straight. It's got, see, just a little bit of tolerance. It necks down quite a bit there, or necks up, I should say. So I just got to get the orientation right where it looks good. Right there it looks stupid. Right there it's too far the other way. Something kind of there. I want it to kind of look level. I also got to find, you know, where it needs to be based on how much slack it's got in it. It looks like it pretty well kind of self-centers. It looks pretty good right there. Let me mark the holes. If these holes are kind of where they look like they need to be, I'll drill those holes. Obviously they're gonna use, oops, let it move, stainless steel countersunk bolts. There you go. That looks pretty good. What do you think? Well, if you don't like it, it's gonna be too late because that's where I'm putting it. It's important that you get the holes kind of straight up. This is the most tightened position you can get with the neck. So this hole's the top. It would look stupid if it was like, erp. All right, so that's kind of what it's gonna look like. Hadn't drilled the screw holes yet, but I'll be honest. Personally, I don't like it there. I think it would look better like here, somewhere in this general vicinity. But this is not my truck, and if the owner likes it there, I'm gonna make it look good right there. It's not bad, it's just I like it better here. So I've drilled me a couple of real small pilot holes there to make sure that they're dead center in those little holes in there. I'm gonna step them up one size with this guy. I'm not gonna do any filler work, and probably only some of the hammer work here on the truck. I can't get to it, no way to get to the back of it. I'll do all that off the truck. I like to use these guys to step the holes up, and it puts a clean edge. A drill bit, you know, if you look at the hole real close, it puts three-sided holes, kind of look like triangles with the corners rounded off. These make nice clean holes. I call them tornado bits. I don't know what they're actually called. Don't care. One step. One step. I don't have the actual bolts I'm going to use yet, but for mock-up, I'm just going to use these guys. I'm going to go one size bigger. Once you paint them, you'll have material on them, and it'll tighten up the bolt holes. Excellent. See if I can get me a metal splinter. So then, we'll give it a little test fit here with my, whatever these are. I think they're 1032s. And I'll take the fender off and do some metal work on it. That part will be pretty boring, but I'm gonna hammer the lip where it'll kind of set in there a little flusher. Like I said, yeah, the hole spacing's perfect. Well, what do you fellas think? You can be honest. So down here, I have to notch a little bit of this, and then that filler neck will need to connect to there. So, I think it's pretty cool, clean install. There's something different, you know. What I gotta do is get this bed off so I can get it primed. I fixed the little dippy-doos. There's a few more on this inside edge, and all those little spot weld holes, they have a little bit of surface rust, so I need to blow the bed apart, pull all the panels off, shoot it. Fortunately, these flat pieces are in really good shape. It's just these posts are the only thing that's really needed any major work. Should coming around. Well, now that that's out of the way, I can figure out how much I gotta notch that. Ain't gonna take much. Probably use my belt sander, just whoop, do a little dippy-do. But that's really loud and really slow, so I'll do that off camera. But we're almost ready to get that thing primed up. So, well, I got them Bondo spots kind of feathered back in. seam sealered areas, little places I need to touch up. So also went ahead and got them fixed. These guys. And then my hinges and this little fella that I built. So this goes on the steering column like so. What it is it's an extension that just, instead of being this little fella mounted here to operate the gear shifter, we had to move the column in to take into consideration the fella's girth. So that put this little shift arm too far up. So I made this guy, so scoots that back. Goes like that. When you move the shift arm, this little fella goes like that. Originally it was like right here. It comes with like a straight piece, but I moved it back, whatever that is, 4 inches. So that little guy. Today's adventure is pulling this bed off, because I've got it all pretty much to the point. Everything's been mocked up. I just need to get it apart so I can go ahead and finish whatever little piddly stuff I have to do with metal work. People wonder how I get stuff done by myself, and I have to do creative things. Like, to get this bed off, we're going to use this fella and some straps. You should see my hood device. I'll show you some pictures of it, but up in here I've got a pulley system rigged up with some ropes, and I can set car hoods by myself with my little winch system here. I'll show you a couple pictures. I've got her hooked there and hooked there. Keep her square that away. I got one strap around the front to keep it picked up on all 4 corners. So I'm going to reach up in there and pop them bolts out, crank the thing up high enough that I can just roll the truck out. And there you have it. Got her on a block of wood or two. Now I can tear it apart without dropping anything on the truck frame. Other than having to crawl around on my hands and knees, which isn't good when you got old knees that look like that. My wife says I'm a trendsetter with my styling. Makes fun of my jorts. Also got to go ahead and get the fuel pump assembly in there, and eventually the sending unit. We don't have it yet because I don't know what gauge pack he's going with. It's right there. It's got a pump, an adjustable deal, a little something that goes down on the inside, so got to do that too. And I figured that'd be much easier with the bed out of the way, because you can get your mittens right here without having to bend over anything. I'm working on now is trying to get all of the imperfections out of it so that I can prime it. Mainly just where spot welds are, and on the vertical sides on a couple of these rails, there were some pretty good, you kind of see them there, those lines. Some of them were deep enough you could feel them. A few of them are going to need a little bit of filler just from the smashing process. Like you just have a groove there. So the tiniest thin coat of body filler on them things will take care of them. Otherwise you'll see them right through the paint. And you just hit the all the plug welds just to knock the high spots off, because if you don't and you prime them and you're wet sanding this, you'll burn through the paint and the clear or whatever and go right down the metal, and then you'll start rusting on your plug welds. So you just smooth them out. All this stuff here you can't feel, so those are just scuff marks, and thankfully all these guys you can't feel. A couple of them you can, but the majority of them you cannot. So I've got to go through, take all this painstaking filler work. Well, after a little pain and suffering, I've got these things scuffed up, all the spot welds cleaned, hand sanded every square inch of this top side and the tops of the rails with 80 grit sandpaper. Takes forever, a lot of prep work, and not a whole lot of fun. This is definitely not the glamorous end of building cars, but it is now ready to prime. I'm not ready to prime because I'm going to do it outside, and the heat index is currently 105 degrees. Fuel neck, little bump outs right here. Speaking of the fuel neck, I've got it mocked up in the fender right there. I did just a little bit of metal work to get the thing to set in there flush. Looks great. I got that thing tight. Don't know why. It comes right out. It's got a little thing that attaches it, but I mean, where would you dangle it? Up against the paint? That would be the tank. Well, I'm not a fan of priming outside when it's super hot. Primer dries a little quicker than I'd like, and it's super hot. Let's get her done. Well, you always get a fresh eyes on your material once you get your first coat of primer on it, or paint if you don't catch it in the primer. Like every single one of these has a little crease right there. in the same place. Some of them on both sides, just a little bit right there. Same on this one. It's invisible to the naked eye when they're all just bare steel. You might not be able to see it, but I can see it plain as day. Right there. Right there. Anyways, other than that, they look pretty good. And those are minor repairs. So that's the first coat. We're gonna go ahead and pile a second one on there. I'll let you watch some of it. Well, the old thing is finally to the point where it needs quick wet sand and paint. Pretty much the whole entire truck with the exception of the hood. The owner of this truck is wanting to get this thing done as quickly as possible, and due to my own schedule, bad planning, whatever you want to call it, we're not getting it done as quickly as I would like. So we're going to be taking this and probably most of the parts to a friend of his body shop, and he's going to help with painting. So he's going to do some, I'm going to do some. We haven't got together and discussed it to figure out exactly who's doing what, but that will definitely help get the truck done quicker, get it out of here. I've got two other cars here that are right at the point of probably 90% completion, where they'll be gone too. The big part for the channel is once that stuff is all gone, I'll have a lot more time to dedicate to the channel, and I just haven't had much time for that. Obviously, doing videos once a month or whatever. I need to take the YouTube more serious and, you know, give you guys what you deserve for being good, faithful watchers. So, next time you see this, all or a portion of it will be in paint, and we'll be putting it all together, making it run, and it's going to be great. But for now, I got to clean the thing off, do some unmasking, and tomorrow we'll figure out which parts are going to go where. I'm hoping honestly that it'll take all of it, because with metallic paint, you know, whoever does one panel needs to do the next, same gun, same guy, you know, makes it much less likely to have a problem with paint match. May not be a problem, but I'll do whatever he wants and vice versa. So thank you for watching, and look forward to some paint very soon. It's going to be great. You're already gonna have a fish on there. You need the net? No, you don't need net for that guy. Look at her go.